So what we're gonna do first is we wanna come through with the wand and blow the loose debris. Get the rocks and sticks and dirt and whatever out of the way, because that surface cleaner is spinning very fast in there. And a small rock like this can shut you down for the night. If it slightly bends that arm, or if you got a slightly bent arm from that and you continue to run it, it's wobbling in there and it'll kill that bearing. So you always want to get all the crap out of the way first, if at all possible. So what I like to do is blow it out with the gun, come back, surface clean the whole thing, and then it's time to rinse. I'll leave my heat on during rinsing, so as I'm rinsing that dirt that we knocked loose, I'm coming up to the pieces of gum and taking those off as well. Okay, so hopefully I don't spray those people over there too much, but there's a couple ways to remove gum. I would suggest you get a turbo nozzle to familiarize yourself with the process, because once you notice it, you'll see all these shopping centers, the sidewalks are destroyed. It etches all in it, and the gum might still be in the middle of the dang spot that they're going for. The heat is what softens this up to take it off. It really doesn't take a ton of pressure to remove gum. So we're gonna heat it the hell up where it's soft and chewy again and melt it away, okay? And so, like this piece of gum here, I'm gonna open this up all the way. I got literally almost no pressure, okay? If I got no pressure, there's not much worry of me etching the surface. Some gum is so hard and there's absolutely no moisture in there, so it's gonna be difficult to soften it up as easy as others. But you can see it's melting away. Okay, so we got that up, but I still got low pressure, see? And so I didn't need a bunch of pressure to get it off of there. That was even more pressure than you really need. That was a very, very old piece of gum. It had cracks on the surface. It's been here for years. So your average sidewalk on a shopping center, the gum might be maybe up to a year old, but it's gonna still have some moisture in it, so when that heat hits it, it loosens up and you'll see it just running off kind of like paint. And so we've got that method. That's with the flat tip. But you gotta be very careful and make sure you're using low pressure if you're using the flat tip. You got the turbo? Let's see if I can find another piece of gum out here. Okay, so there's some more. So the thing is about etching with this, it's the edge is what shows up as a cutout in the surface. It's that sharp, fine edge. And so if you're using a turbo tip, it's making a circular motion. It's not making this flat blade cutting back and forth. And so you can get this, and if you had soft cement and it were to etch it a little bit, you're gonna keep an eye out for that, but sometimes it's unavoidable, but it's not gonna be this very noticeable, what is that? It might be a little worn down, but it doesn't look like I can say somebody showed up with a pressure washer and ruined this with a tip. It doesn't look the same. And so you'll get this thing, and you can kick my heat up just a little bit more. And so we can get this, and I'm gonna.
Hey bud, what you doing? I was trying to learn how to get gum off concrete and the TV froze, so now I'm trying to get the TV to play again. Sweet, is that PowerWash.com? Yeah man, PowerWash.com actually has some really great tutorials. Every time I'm trying to learn something new, their YouTube page always comes in clutch. This time though, my TV's frozen and I can't get it to play. So, well, if you want to get some serious learning, you should check out their 5-day boot camp. Wow, that actually sounds really cool. Where do I go to get more info on that? So if you watch the video to the end, PowerWash.com actually leaves a link in the description most of the time. And if you click on it, it should be titled Hands-On Training. You'll get all the information you need to know. How much it is, where it's located, what classes are taught on what days, etc. Everything you're gonna need to know. If you're interested in learning more and getting some serious learning in, recommend you click that link and give it a look. Sweet, I'll go ahead and give it a look once I get to the end of the video, assuming I can get it to play again. Hey, toss it over here, maybe I can fix it for you. Sure, knock yourself out.
Work my way into it. I'm heating it up at first. I'm gonna soften the gum, then I'll kind of pulsate and just come down on it, okay? straight up for a second. See how that took it off like that? And this isn't a great example because this is old and very hard and it's not going to break down like the rest. But if they allowed chewing gum at this school, we'd probably have a lot more to work with, but they don't. So, but you know, and you can kind of practice that on these paint drips, but there's a piece. There's a piece. Okay, does somebody else want to try their hand at removing gum? So that's possibly a spot. I know this is. Here's one right here. There's one right here.
There's one over here.
Yeah, this is it right here on the tip.
Oh, okay.
That's big red. Enjoy.
So what you did, we're gonna gather and repaint.
Pull it back. Pull it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Get your water flowing. Kind of heat up the area.
Okay.
Pull it. It's gonna take a second for that to absorb some of the heat. Now you can close this off. Get it up, straight up and down. And then up and down, up and down. There you go. Okay. And so that one's still got a little bit remaining. You can probably take it up. Okay, so that's probably the shadow we're going to be left with. I mean, it's a little discolored. I don't. Typically, it'll come up all the way. A lot of times, you will see a little darker spot. Yeah. There's oils in the gum that permeate into the surface, and so you won't get it up all the way. But you've taken the gum off of the surface, and now the oil's exposed. That's what you can see. So if this is a shopping center that you're cleaning on a regular basis, when you come back next time, your surface cleaner is going to take that little bit of oil off, and eventually those shadows will go away. But you got to maintain them, and you got to hit them a couple times here and there. But usually by then it's replaced with new pieces of gum, and so it's just a never-ending story. Yeah. But let's see if we can get one up here so we don't have to worry about those kids. There's really not much gum. There's a little piece right here. Okay, this is where our helps comes in. Okay, you got it? There we go, we got some slack.
I can smell the mint.
Yeah?
I can smell the mint.
That's funny. That was quick.
Yeah, look, here's pieces of it over here.
Where? Oh, pieces of it, yeah.
Probably all wearing it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's some more gum here.
Where? No problem. Here, have at it. Got it?
So you can see it did pit it. It pitted it in a few areas.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Don't get into a rush to take it. It did make a sharp edge at least, but it did take some off of the surface. And so you saw me remove that first piece with absolutely no pressure, right? So the heat is your friend with gum. And so, you know, whenever I start my guys off, I tell them, you got to take it off with a soft wash tip. Sorry. Because it's gonna take you a little bit longer because the pressure helps, but I need them to get used to not blasting the gum off.
Yeah.
And so,
same with
Because
wood.
it deteriorates.
yeah, exactly. Just like wood. Yeah, it's very similar. And so,
Like this thing's like logs.
what's that?
Where it's like,
Yeah, somebody torqued it down too much. So these are all brass pieces in here. Okay, all it takes is as much strength as you got in 2 fingers to close it off. And
ideally I want to have it like this.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah, that or maybe a little bit more. I mean, the thing is, the good thing about once you know you're not going to screw up the concrete, once you've gotten it in your mind not to get too high pressure with the flat tip, the good thing about the flat tip, you can crank your temps up super high. And there's no limits on those kind of tips. So if you want to drop your pressure down with the flat tip, crank it up to 200 degrees, you're melting that stuff one right after the next, no problem. But I just wanted to show you a couple different ways to do it safely. It's either going to be high heat, low pressure, or relatively high heat and just bouncing that turbo tip in there. But
It does damage to
And I'm a little bit familiar with these, and I didn't realize I got that close. And as soon as that rock, I'm like, oh my gosh. So
and those tips, I try to use the turbo nozzle when we really need it. Can I use it for this and for that? Yeah, but that's $150 or whatever it is. And it only has, the first time you pull it, it's a countdown. Every time you pull that trigger and start that thing, it's slowly wearing that thing down. You're eventually going to get a crack and it'll just be spraying off one way. So your lifespan of this thing, you try to make the most of it. And so that's why, yeah, I can remove gum with it, but I prefer to use a tip, which is $7, and I can replace those all day long, and they take forever to wear those out, really. But I would say, of course, depends on how much work you've got, but it's not a bad idea to replace your tips. If you did, even if they're still functional and the plastic's still in decent shape, every time that water's like it wore down this, it's doing the same thing to those metal tips. It's wearing them out, and you may not realize it because it's been so long of a period of time. But now you've lost 500 psi to your gun, all from that tip. When you're looking at it, everything's fine. Oh, maybe my pump's not putting out the pressure, but it's really that tip the hole's a little bit bigger now. So about every 6 months or so, we'll go ahead and pull these all off and just put fresh ones in there. And it's crazy. You do that, be like, I don't know, it might have been a waste of money. You put it on, oh wow, I got my pressure back. Okay, cool. And so these kids are almost out of the way. I'll say we'll surface clean this area, and then once they're out of the way, we'll surface clean that really dirty spot in there.